In this video, we'll take a look at nasal irrigation systems. What are they? And do they help you sleep better if you have sleep apnea? I'm Ruben with RespShop, an online retailer for CPAP equipment that has helped over 1 million people for more than 16 years. We're all used to having jets of air blasted up our nostrils to help us sleep. But these days, lots of people are instead trying water? That's right. The latest craze in the CPAP world is nasal irrigation, which is basically when you pump saline water up one nostril and let it flow out or have it sucked out of the other one. Although what comes out isn't exactly water, it's water mixed with snot, boogers, and allergens. If you want my advice, don't watch any YouTube channels on this after you've just eaten your Sunday lunch. That stuff is nasty. For the record, we don't sell irrigation systems on RespShop.com, but on this channel, we give you all the information we can about making the right decisions about your CPAP therapy. So if you do appreciate us, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much. Now this video contains our honest take on whether nasal irrigation can help you with your sleep apnea and some of the medical info and advice around using it if you do. And I'm saying all of this after a few nights of trying one of the most popular products myself, the Navage nasal irrigation system. So I'll add my personal thoughts on that device as well. All right, so big question. Can nasal irrigation systems help with sleep apnea? The short answer is yes. Nasal irrigation can be a very effective way of clearing congestion. If you have nasal congestion, there is an increased resistance to airflow coming through your nose. And this tends to lead to mouth breathing. Unless you're very new around here, you will know that mouth breathing is bad for a bunch of reasons, even if you are using a full face mask. Also, if you're still breathing through your congested nose, the resistance to incoming air will be higher, meaning the CPAP machine will need to increase its pressure output to compensate, and that can lead to even more congestion. The reason is that the increased speed of the airflow can mean things called turbinates
I'll be back.
that live inside of your nasal cavity aren't able to warm and moisten the air enough as it passes. This means that they swell in response. They do this to increase resistance to try to slow the air down, and the machine's auto algorithm responds by upping the pressure to clear the obstruction, and then the whole thing just repeats itself. Not good. So now you know that nasal irrigation systems can be a helpful part of your CPAP therapy regimen. How do they work? And is there anything to watch out for? Well, I'll deal with the second question soon because the answer is a big yes to that one. But as for how they work, that will depend a bit on which irrigation system you're using, as they all work a little bit differently. The traditional method is to use a neti pot, which is basically a teapot that you use to pour saline solution, which is slightly salty water, into one of your nostrils while your head is tilted forward and to the side. The water then flows into your nasal cavity and then out of the other nostril, all using gravity. These have been around for a long time, and some of them are even ceramic. Other options involve squirting water into your nose manually by squeezing a bottle, but I tried out an electric version with a water pump, the Navage nasal irrigation system. It's the most popular option on Amazon. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, and if you want to go check it out, feel free. This video is not sponsored by them in any way, and I'm not earning any affiliate commissions. This is my honest opinion on using the unit. If you want full details on how to use it, see the instruction manual or other videos, but here's the basic idea. You fill the top container to the line with distilled water. The distilled water bit is very important, and I'll explain why in a moment. Then you put a saline cartridge into the top socket and close the lid. Next, you put the two protrusions into your nostrils. One of the protrusions has an arrow pointing away from the device and towards your nose. The other has it pointing away from your nose and to the device. These arrows indicate the direction of the water flow. Once the machine is in position, press the button on the side and saline water will be pumped into one nostril and sucked out of the other. Let's try that again. The bottom section of the machine collects the water that passed through your nasal cavity, bringing various bits and pieces with it. Lovely. You can either let the whole lot run, or if you want to, you can stop the pumping when half the water is gone, remove the protrusions from your nose, turn them around so that they're on opposite sides, and then use the rest of the saline to pump in the opposite direction. When the water's gone, give your nose a good blow to get rid of anything remaining up there, and you're finished. while you're finished after you tip that disgusting used water out, that is. And then maybe give the whole thing a good spray clean with RespShop's CPAP cleanser spray for good measure. That is one of the perfect applications for this spray because it's safe and free from harsh chemicals. You can irrigate your nose once or even twice a day if you need to, so no worries about overuse. Your nose can take it. Although a few people say that they can experience burning or stinging when irrigating, but that usually only happens when the water is too salty or too hot. So just dilute it more and make sure that it's lukewarm. For me personally, it took some getting used to, and I found that I needed to be careful about not putting the protrusions too far up my nostrils because it can create a lot of pressure in your sinuses when you do that. You almost want them to sit gently inside the nose as high up as is needed for there to be no gap around the protrusions on your nostrils, but don't put any further pressure on your nostrils than that. Also, friendly advice, probably don't try to talk or laugh when you first start as well, which can be hard if someone's watching you. It's all a little bit weird. But much like when you first started CPAP therapy, if you stick with it and you use it consistently, it won't take too long until you get the hang of it, and your airway definitely does feel clear. I found that I could breathe deeper through my nose immediately after using the irrigation system. But what about that thing I said about using distilled water a while back? Well, it's very important to prevent nasties getting inside your head. Sometimes tap water contains microbes that are safe to drink because the acid in your stomach kills them pretty quickly, but they aren't the kind of thing that you want to pump into a skull cavity close to your brain. It's very rare, but there have been some horror stories of an amoeba called Naegleria that can be in contaminated water and has been known to cause a life-threatening brain condition. That's what those horror news stories about brain-eating microbes are all about. So best to stick with distilled or boiled and then cooled or strongly filtered water for this one. Brains, along with breathing, are very important for your health. A doctor told me that once. So then, nasal irrigation can be a helpful addition to your sleep therapy regimen as long as you do it properly and carefully. With a clear nose, a great CPAP, and a perfect mask, you should have all you need to, you've guessed it, sleep tight. Bye-bye for now.